Hey everyone, and welcome to the Defining Your Life podcast, where we focus on living in our purpose, practicing presence, and activating our power in each moment. I'm Marsharelle, your resident pep talk provider, and I invite you to join me as we continue to learn, lift each other up, and strive to level up together. Because we are never finished defining our lives, and it takes a village, so let's build one. Stay tuned for the episode. Hey everyone, I hope that you had a wonderful week, that if overwhelm was looming for you, you were able to put it in check before it turned into overload. This was a busy week for me, I'll admit, but thankfully I was able to take a step back and manage accordingly as I moved forward, and so I didn't end the week completely spent. Tired, sure, but not spent. Taking that step back, looking at the full picture and doing a little bit of planning did help me to manage well. And I hope that if managing life is an area that needs some work for you, you might take a step back and do a little planning yourself and implement some other tools that will help to keep you on track. I encourage you to protect yourself by being proactive and taking the reins when you can, where you can. And on the topic of managing well, it's check-in time, y'all. So let's talk a little bit about goals today. How have you been managing your goals so far this year? I don't know about you, but this year is truly flying by. And when that happens, things we were once focused on tend to get lost in the sauce a little bit. Am I the only one that experiences this? Feeling like I have time, but at the same time, it's flying by. The days are blending together, and then you look up and something you said you were going to get to on Tuesday, you still haven't gotten to, and it's Friday. In those instances, we have to ask ourselves, what's our priority here? Because typically we prioritize the things that are important to us, right? And if you find yourself repeatedly not getting to a thing, to what you say are your goals, then maybe they aren't actually that important to you. And if they were important at one point and they're not anymore, that's okay. But be willing to let go of that dream or goal that's taking up space where you could be truly investing in the thing that matters to you. Do you consider the goals on your list to be the most important things to you? Because our priorities take precedence no matter what. Whether or not we label them as the most important things in our lives, our actions will prove what we value most. And if something that isn't on our goal list keeps showing up in the forefront of our lives, we must take a look at why. Does that thing belong at the top of your list permanently? Or is it a distraction on some level, keeping you from what you really need to be focused on? Is it simply an excuse we are allowing to pose as a legitimate time sucker in our lives? We must focus on the things that move us through life with conviction. Like our real goals are what drive us. The other stuff just pushes us through this precious life. Do you want to be pushed through, or do you want to move through? Compelled by something that makes you tick, something that matters, something that creates a healthy sense of urgency within you, a yearning to get it out, get it done, shared with the world. And maybe what you're sharing with the world is a better version of you. Remember that it doesn't need to be some lofty thing that isn't achievable or attainable right now. There should be something on your list that you can reach in the immediate future. Remember that we are building, right? We should never stop building as long as we're here. What good are the goals that only live in our heads, being pushed back again and again until we feel like we won't ever be able to meet them, until they are stagnant enough to rest permanently in a dormant pool in our minds? That's like, who wants that to happen, guys? Like, I don't. I hope you don't either. And you know, an easy way to stop that from happening is just to share your goals with someone, so that you are held accountable. And yes, it can be scary, But if it will get you to move from first base to second, then it's necessary. I know the feeling, not wanting to tell anyone because you don't want to be asked about it if you don't do it. But does that serve you? A goal must be acknowledged, worked toward. And if you know that it's probably not something you can just do on your own without support, don't set yourself up for failure. Oftentimes, people won't even ask you about it, but the fact alone that they know will be enough to give you the drive to keep going. If you don't need that accountability factor, wonderful, but don't feel ashamed if you do. It doesn't matter how you get where you're going, as long as you get there. So ahead of the midpoint of the year, let's take a minute to evaluate our goals, reprioritize if we need to, and get back on track. Take a look at your goal list. And there shouldn't be more than 3 things on the top priority list because everything can't be a priority. Like, how many priorities can one tackle at the same time, y'all? Seriously. We want to make everything a priority as soon as we set in goals, but it's not realistic. So now is the time to refocus on no more than 3 things you are looking to achieve right now. Do you have a plan for each thing on your list, or are you just winging it? Winging it never really seems to work out for the long term. That's my opinion. It might get you started, but it's often not enough to keep you going because you need guidance, right? And trying to create that at each step as it pops up can be taxing. So a little planning can go a long way in creating a bigger picture, even if not the full one. So get a plan together, map out what you can, put some action items in place for your priorities to keep you moving forward. Seek out help or expertise. These things are on your goal list because you have to work toward them, right? You may have had the same goals on your list forever. So maybe you need to start utilizing resources that will point you in the right direction and keep you on task for your specific goals. Do you need help with your finances? It's probably not enough to just say, I'm going to pay down debt this time. Maybe you need to do a little research on strategy. There's so many books, podcasts, folks in the online community that are probably just like you that are sharing their story and additional resources on how to meet financial goals. Because when we decide to do something, how to execute it well doesn't just get magically downloaded into our brains. You're not all of a sudden going to become a finance guru because you decided you wanted to tackle your finances. If we knew everything, it would already be done. So use those often free resources that you have access to help you along the way. I would also encourage you, if you haven't done so in the loose planning process already, go ahead and put together a timeline. There is something to be said about attaching dates and deadlines to something that adds fuel to the fire. These timelines should be realistic for you, and they shouldn't be stress-inducing. Though if you're a natural procrastinator, that may be unavoidable, and that's a topic for another day. Anyway, attach a realistic timeline to your goals as a way to keep you on track. If your goal is to organize your closet, that shouldn't be attached to a 3-month timeline. That's something that you can start to tackle immediately, right? So attach realistic timelines that may push you a little bit. What are we telling ourselves about how we value ourselves when we don't go after what matters to us? Whatever we tell ourselves, it 100% spills over into the other areas of our lives. So don't discount you. You'll hear me say it over and over again, but you don't deserve it. Discounting yourself is not a display of humbleness. Having been a creative my entire life, I would often find myself in situations where I may have been complimented on something I made or did, and my immediate reaction would be to downplay it. If you've been listening from the beginning, you might remember the episode on taking the compliment. Well, I'm a lot better now, but I still have room to grow. Anyway, In those complimentary moments, my reaction would be to respond, quote unquote, humbly, right? A meek thank you, or maybe not speaking up saying, hey, thanks. Yeah, I made this, in the moment. My husband would get so mad at me, but it felt braggadocious to me. And I didn't want to be the person always shoving something down someone's throat. Like, look at me, I did that. Or, I made this, buy one. But what I discovered is that I did more harm than good to myself. I lost confidence, and it seemed I was fighting an uphill battle on my quest for success. But no one knew enough about me because I didn't tell them enough about me. I didn't market myself. I just wanted people to see what I created without knowing that I created it or the story behind it. And I was asking them to make a decision blindly. But the truth is, the story matters. I myself make tons of decisions based on the story. Sharing the story is part of the work that needs to be done when trying to meet lots of our goals. And you are the story. No matter if it's a personal story of a weight loss journey or buying a first house, building a business empire, it inspires someone else. You're doing the work anyway. So share the story, which will encourage you on your journey, inspire someone else on theirs, and it will help you get where you are going because you're reminded of all that you are capable of along the way and what you were able to produce. I'm going to leave you with a few words from Michelle Obama today. The only limit to the height of your achievements is the reach of your dreams and your willingness to work for them. Let's keep working on those dreams, y'all. Setting and achieving those goals. If you want to share your progress so far, don't hesitate to reach out. Thank you so much for listening today. And remember to share, review, rate, and subscribe if what you have been hearing has made a positive impact on you. That's one of my goals. I can't wait to chat with you all again next week. Take care until then.